In this episode, we talk about a building collapse in Kolkata. We also talk about China's claims on Arunachal Pradesh. But first, we talk about the electoral bonds data. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. Last week, after the Election Commission released the list of electoral bond purchasers between April 2019 and January 2024, we got to know the extent to which giant corporations as well as wealthy individuals were anonymously donating to political parties. Some of the donors from the list were firms like Vedanta Limited, Bharti Airtel and SL Mining. However, the single largest political donor turned out to be the lottery king Santiago Martin, the owner of Future Gaming and Hotel Services Private Limited. From the list, we also learned that 4 out of 5 top donors were under the scanner of central agencies at the time they purchased electoral bonds. Firms like Future Gaming, Haldia Energy and Vedanta. But what still remains missing is the unique bond number that can help us identify who donated to which political party. However, despite this, as many as 10 regional political parties have voluntarily disclosed the names of their contributors. In this segment, my colleague Shashank Bhargava speaks to Indian Express's executive editor, Ritu Sarin, about its details.
Ritu, there are 10 regional parties, the DMK, the AIDMK, Janata Dal Secular, the NCP, the Jammu and Kashmir National Conference, Janata Dal United, the Aam Aadmi Party, the Samajwadi Party, the Sikkim Democratic Front, and the Maharashtra Gomantak Party, which is a party from Goa. All of them have revealed names of donors who contributed via electoral bonds between March 2018 and April 2019. How unprecedented or how rare would you say this is?
Yeah, see, what has been missing in the 2 installments of data that we have got is the name of the donors matching with the name of the political parties. So this came as a bit of a surprise. Now, in what was kept in those 2 boxes in the Supreme Court first and Election Commission, which was released 2 days ago, was about declarations of exactly 523 declarations from political parties. And this had to be sort of scanned manually. It was not in the Excel format. And lo and behold, we found these few parties, precisely 10 out of 27 who have received electoral bonds. 27 parties have received electoral bonds. And out of them, 10 have given the names of their donors. And we have done a story in the front page of the Indian Express today, speaking to some of them as to how did you get the names, right?
Right. And just on that point, I mean, it is surprising because these donations are supposed to be anonymous. So how did these 10 parties get to know who the donors are?
So 2-3 of them have spoken to us. The BJP and Congress did not. And one has said that we asked the donors or we knew about the donors and things like that. And now what we are going to get as per Monday's order of the Supreme Court is everything from the SBI, which will hopefully match the donor details with the political parties' redemption figures.
Right. And just talking about these 10 political parties, what stands out about the kind of donations they received and who all donated to them?
Yeah, so it's good information in the sense DMK turned out to be Future Gaming and Martin again, who's the number 1 donor. So they have got 509 crores from Future Gaming, huge amount. And Future Gaming has totally, I think, given 1,300 crores in electoral bonds. So 509 have gone to the DMK. Plus the donor number 2, that's Megha Infrastructure, has also given 105 to DMK. Surprise name for the AIDMK was Chennai Super Kings, 5 crores. And then there are declarations for others. Very interestingly, for example, the Jammu and Kashmir National Conference has got 50 lakhs from just one donor, and that's Bharti Airtel. And AAP has got from, say, 3 companies, the Bajaj Group, Torrent Pharma, and BJ Shirke. And one Goa party has got from Salgaonkar, though the amount is not very big. So some surprise donations and some very interesting connections.
Yeah, and Ritu, based on what we have come to know about the extent of these donations and who all have been making them, how crucial would you say it is for voters to find out exactly who donated to which party? Because we are recording this on Tuesday and we are still in the dark about details regarding parties like the BJP, the Congress and the TMC.
See, you've seen the coverage in our paper, you've seen what the rest of the media is writing about. The whole idea is to connect to apparent or obvious quid pro quos, one in the sense of maybe contracts given to a company or, tenders and things like that. 2 is action by enforcement agencies, the ED, CBI, income tax, prior to the donations prior to the electoral bonds being bought, and maybe in between the party quickly redeems them. So these are kind of connections that the media has been drawing, and now we should just get it all.
And right now we've been talking about these big political parties, the BJP, the Congress, the TMC, and these small regional parties. But India, of course, has hundreds of other smaller political parties as well. Could you talk about how they feature in this story?
Yeah, so since the Election Commission knew, those figures are tabulated annually, so since the Election Commission knew that only about 27 parties have received electoral bonds, when they got instructions from the Supreme Court, we would have imagined that they would send requests for giving all details on an annual basis. This was only 18-19 to those parties. But lo and behold, they send it to everyone, So there we have 523 declarations. And since this was not incompatible data, we had to go through every declaration of every party. And there were like almost hundreds of parties which may be categorized as registered or unregistered and registered but not recognized. And therefore, a vast majority of the declarations lying in these two boxes have been from parties who were not eligible for the scheme. They were not eligible either because many have not even managed to enroll themselves in the electronic systems of the EC. Some of them have said that we don't have a PAN number. Some of them have said we don't have a bank account, or a bank account has been frozen and things like that. Or they have never contested elections and therefore secured 1% of the vote which is needed for them to become a recognized party.
Yeah, and even the parties who have functioning bank accounts, and you mentioned this in your piece, some of them have just paltry sums of money.
Yeah. At least about 20 I tabulated. At least 20 have inadvertently, instead of saying that we have giving a nil for electoral bonds, at least 20 of them have given their annual balance sheets, or they've given, shown their bank balances or given a statement of the bank accounts, which they were never required to. So they didn't understand what the EC was asking them to do. And some of them have a few thousands, maybe a couple of lakhs. One even declared that their bank account of the political party was 798 rupees.
And this is a very interesting contrast, right? Because on one hand, you have a party that has just about 800 rupees in its bank account. And on the other hand, you have a party like the BJP that has received over 8,000 crore rupees just through electoral bonds. What do you think that says about the current political system and just what it takes to run a party?
Yeah. So there are some, very interesting observations that one can make seeing these declarations, Like one party said that the only money we have is the 500 rupees that our party president puts in the party's bank account every 3 months. Some others have sort of scoffed and looked down upon electoral bonds, that they are an instrument for the corrupt. And someone else mentioned or remembered that electoral bond is under judicial review. So they are smirking at it. And vast majority have said there's no question of us getting because, we are not eligible to receive it.
And Ritu, you mentioned that we are waiting on the list that will be released on Thursday. What happens next?
What happens next? There are two ways of looking at it. One, are we happy that it has come in 3 installments? So it's yes and no. We did have little time to work on the first installment and we had 2 days in between because it came on Thursday and then on Sunday evening and now Thursday again. So all this has happened in 1 week or is going to happen in 1 week. And what is very important is if you listen carefully to the CGI's observation on Monday, he very clearly said, give everything you have. Keep nothing back. And the onus is on you and not on us to give the public everything. It remains to be seen in what format the information will come to us with and how quickly are we able to do our analysis and our data analysis of the matching and then yet again go through the cycle of arriving at connections, arriving at calculations of who the biggest donors to these biggest parties have been.
And next we talk about the Kolkata building collapse. Late Sunday night, a 5-story building which was still under construction collapsed in Kolkata's congested Garden Reach area. The collapse has killed 9 people and left 17 injured, while 1 person still remains trapped under the rubble. As of this recording, on Tuesday night, over 45 hours had passed since the incident, and rescue operations are still underway with officials saying that the death toll is likely to increase. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who recently received a head injury, visited the spot and said that the building was illegally constructed. She has asked authorities to take action against those responsible. In this segment, Indian Express's Sweety Kumari joins us to talk about the collapse and the ongoing rescue operations. So, Sweetie, can you begin by telling us what exactly happened and why did the building collapse?
So it was on Sunday night at around 11:58, as per the CCTV footages that police have got. A five-story building collapsed like a house of cards, and the building was located around several shanties, small hut houses. So it collapsed in the midnight, and initially it was feared that more than 20-25 people are trapped underneath. So initially locals started, they were the one who reached the spot as initial respondents, and then they started pulling out people, who were trapped under the rubble, and then disaster management and police, everybody reached there. So we went and visited the site, and I was speaking to the locals, and they said, it was around midnight that suddenly they heard a loud sound, and it was, few people were telling me that it was like, a bomb had exploded, or some even felt like there was an earthquake. So people had different feelings, but they all said that it was a loud sound, and they all came out. Some started peeping from the windows. Most of them went to their rooftop, and then they saw that building which was there, which was a five-story building, had actually turned into debris.
Right. And Sweetie, how and when did the disaster management teams respond to the situation?
So, disaster management team of Calcutta Police, fire department, and people from civil defense and locals all had, come together to, take out those who were trapped. Because it was midnight, there was low visibility, there was no proper light. So they faced a lot of problems initially because they had to arrange lightings, and nothing was visible. And as I told you, that the building was developed in the middle of a slum, so you can guess that the situation was tough for the disaster management team. So initially there was a lot of problem, but till morning, they had actually saved few people, like 10 to 12 people were already saved by morning, but we saw heavy rain in the morning. So at night there was no light. They faced initial problem seeing where people had got trapped, and then there was heavy rain. So another challenge they had to face. However, these things, were not in control of the disaster management team. So they tried their best, but I was speaking to some of the fire officials and, officials from NDRF team, National Disaster Team. So they were saying that because, these lanes where the under constructions building have come up in this Azhar Mullah Bagan is basically only 3 feet wide, and you see a lot of under constructions building there. So there are space crunch is a big issue. Because to save people, they needed big machines like JCB machines, So there was no space to even clear the debris.
Right. And we are speaking on Tuesday. So tell us how many people have been injured and how many have died due to this collapse.
So 17 persons have already been, shifted to the hospital. One more thing that worked positive in this part was the hospital in the area was located very nearby, though there was no space to, park ambulances. So after the people who had got trapped, they were said they were directly taken to this private hospital within a minute or two, and thus 17% have survived, they have been rescued. Slowly, as the rescue operation continued and bodies were taken out, so now the death toll has risen to around 9. And like as per police and as per official records, we know that 9 people have died in this incident. And the latest report says 1 or 2 are still feared to be trapped under the debris.
And Sweetie, how has the government in the state reacted to this incident?
So Niharika, that Lok Sabha election is round the corner, and just ahead of elections, such an incident taking place can put the state government back front. So that's why, without taking any risk or without wasting any time, we saw that minutes after incident took place, like within half an hour or an hour, our state minister, Firhad Hakim, who is also mayor of Kolkata Municipal Corporation, reached the spot. He was there for the whole night. And Sujit Bose, who is fire minister, and he also handles the disaster management portfolio, he was also there for the whole night, assisting or supervising or looking into the rescue operations. The Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also the very next day in the morning visited the spot, and while taking stock of the situation, she spoke to the cops And, it is better to accept, as we say that, instead of denying things, it is always better to accept the fault. So here the state government strategically accepted that there was illegal construction. And Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee announced financial assistance to the, deceased family. The state government gave 5 lakh rupees to the next kin of the family and about 1 lakh rupees to the injured also. So yes, state government ministers, chief ministers and everybody were there on spot. They accepted that the illegal construction was very much mushrooming in the area and assured people that they are taking action so that this can be prevented.
Right. And since you mentioned the Lok Sabha elections, what has the opposition been saying since the incident?
Niharika, state government ministers had already visited the spot, and BJP leader of opposition, minutes after the incident took place on Sunday, he was probably the first one to write it on X handle that how this incident had taken place. And he also highlighted the menace of illegal construction in Kolkata. So leader of opposition and a lot of opposition leaders put it out on social media. They condemned the incident. They were expressing concerns. And we saw that BJP councillor Sajal Ghosh also visited the spot and he had to face some kind of protest in the area. People did not like it. I would say TMC supporters had protested his visit and he said that, we should not politicize the incident. But all the opposition party are definitely, attacking TMC government over this corruption, substandard material being used in construction and how promoters are flourishing under their government by using, substandard materials in construction business and that TMC leaders are hand in gloves with builders and doing this business in the area.
Right. And have any FIRs been lodged or any arrests been made in the case yet?
Yeah, so, after the incident, the promoter Mohammad Wasim was arrested by Kolkata police within hours and he has been booked under section 302, which is murder, and 307, which is attempt to murder, apart from all other sections of the IPC. When we are talking about Mohammad Wasim, he's a known promoter in that area, builder in that area. And interestingly, he was a milkman. He used to sell milk years back. And then he got into this business of, promoting and building. So when you visit Garden Ridge area and where the incident took place, I was standing in one of the buildings rooftop and it was also incomplete building. So wherever you see, you only see under constructions building in that particular area. And this particular building which collapsed was surrounded by at least 20 to 25 buildings, if not more. And these buildings are all, under construction building and they all have come up in last 2 years. And, I was talking to one of the residents and he was saying that promoters like Mohammad Wasim is not one person in the area. So there are a group of people working like this in that area.
Okay, so Sweety, talk about what we know about the current situation on the ground and what the officials are telling us.
So the current situation is those who are injured are under treatment. The state government and all the administrative officials are taking care of them. The rescue operation continues because, as I told you, that till morning they fear that 1 or 2 persons are still trapped. But they cannot, because, they were only making cut on one point. Like cut hi jagah pe, wo cut karke concrete slab mein, they are looking at who all are inside. So they have to basically clear the entire area and clear all the debris to actually come and say that, yes, no more people are actually trapped. So rescue operation continues, we would say. And now the situation is better because the 1 or 2 JCB machines have also reached to the closest point of the site. Let's see. The state urban minister, state municipal affair minister Firhad Hakim was also there today. And, Naushad Siddiqui, who is ISF lone MLA, also visited the spot today.
And in the end, we talk about China's claims on Arunachal Pradesh. The External Affairs Ministry on Tuesday termed China's recent claims on Arunachal Pradesh as absurd, saying that the state is and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. The comments by the Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal came 2 days after the Chinese military said that Arunachal Pradesh was an inherent part of China's territory. In a post on X, Jaiswal said, quote, "We have noted the comments made by the spokesperson of the Chinese Defense Ministry advancing absurd claims over the territory of the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. Repeating baseless arguments in this regard does not lend such claims any validity. Arunachal Pradesh was, is, and will always be an integral and inalienable part of India. Its people will continue to benefit from our development programs and infrastructure projects." Unquote. Jaiswal added that the Chinese side has been made aware of this consistent position on several occasions. The People's Liberation Army's claims on Sunday had come after India rejected Beijing's objections to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the state on March 9th. China, which claims Arunachal Pradesh as South Tibet, routinely objects to Indian leaders' visit to the state to highlight its claims. Beijing has also named the area Zhangnan. New Delhi has dismissed Beijing's move to assign invented names to the area, saying it did not alter the reality. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank, Bhargava and me, Niharika, Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.